Welcome to Munciana Courtside, show number 9. A lot of you guys didn't think we'd ever make it past 1. Mike Lingenfelter here, along with the big fella, Randall Gardner.
Today's show will be the sectional preview. We'll also hit on the highlights from last week. Tuesday, Roncalli, Center Grove. We talked about Center Grove and having a big week. 24-2 heading into the week was Roncalli. Center Grove was 25-2. Center Grove 1-4.
Yeah, and that's well, you know, wow, we talked about it. Said if those guys could sweep out, they would run into the state tournament with as much momentum as any team in the country. Great win, and you know, those people that were doubting Center Grove at all, they're for real. And, you know, that should make for a pretty interesting sectional play this week between those two teams.
Yep. Thursday night also, we talked about Fort Wayne Carroll, 27-3 heading into the week. Concordia was 20-4 heading into the week. Concordia, it sounds like, saw a couple tweets about Concordia jumped them, got out to an early lead in all 3 sets and ended up sweeping.
You know, Concordia, if they get ahead, they're going to be hard to catch just because of Tiana Williams and some of the athletes they have. And I think that once again at this stage of the year, and I said this early on, Concordia always plays its best volleyball down the stretch. It's kind of Trish Miller's mantra of sorts, and they're coming of age at the right time.
Another game we talked about Friday night. They played right before the football game. Cathedral 24-3 heading into the week. First Center Grove was 25-2. Cathedral beat them before. The first set, Center Grove jumped them 25-14, and then Cathedral just got rolling at that point.
It had to be ball handling. You know, that's the only way that Cathedral gets beat 25-14 is if the bottom falls out passing-wise. And, you know, they righted the ship, obviously, and started taking care of the ball. And, you know, like I said, if they take care of the ball, they're going to be really hard to beat. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if these two teams see each other again, you know, this season. And if they do, both coaches are going to be pretty happy about where they're at in the tournament.
All right. We had a big event this past weekend.
Yeah.
We had the middle school state finals. We had Yorktown beat out Westfield in straight sets in the eighth grade championship.
You know, it was some really crazy good volleyball. No, you're thinking it's middle school, but very gifted athletes, really neat future for both of these two teams. You know, as we talked about, it's very similar to the high school teams. Yorktown, all about ball control. Westfield, big, strong, physical kids. Yorktown has prevailed in the last 5, 6, 7 years over Westfield just by first ball contacts, taking care of passing and serving it. And they did this one. They jumped. You talk about the jumping. They jumped people quick.
Yeah. The other game we talked about, the 8th grade state championship, was Yorktown. I mean 7th grade. Sorry, 7th grade state championship game. Newcastle took it home. They beat Yorktown in 3. It really was probably the best match we saw all week.
It was fun. You know, it was. We did about 8 hours of middle school volleyball. We had teams from all over the state, you know, Brown County and Westside from up in Elkhart, and there's people from everywhere. And it was an incredible event. But you know, when it all came down to it, that 7th grade championship was really an amazing game. It goes 3. And if anybody's interested, later this week it'll all be up on the Munciana website if you want to watch it. There's some future stars playing, you know, in this thing. And, you know, Melanie Schaffmaster and Zoe Conway for that Newcastle 7th grade team. Melanie Schaffmaster stands about 6'3", setter. She was like LeBron playing against high school kids in that game. And she's fantastic. She may be one of the best players in the country. She may end up being one of the best players to ever come out of East Central Indiana or Indiana.
Yep.
I think this kid's the real deal. Zoe Conway, spunky, feisty kid, just gets it done. You know, those two led that Newcastle team.
Yeah.
And they're awfully good.
Oh yeah, they did some great things. You know, like you talked about Zoe, just ball control. She kind of had that feel. She's been in the gym on a regular basis since she was 7, 8 years old, and she just keeps getting better.
The Yorktown team?
Yeah.
You know, they got to be your team of the week as well. The Yorktown 8th grade. Kylie Murr, just you talk about hanging and banging. I mean, this kid is just you know, tripping people, knocking people over, poking people in the eye. I mean, she is just a brawler. and she's good. Small, spitfire, just flies all over the place, passes, defends, serves, hits. I thought she was great. I thought Ellie Miller, we were calling them the M&M. Those two
M&M
kids
show.
were blowing it up, man. And but there are other kids that were so good. The McAfee kid, the Bell kid from Westfield, just so many good volleyball players. But Newcastle, congratulations. Newcastle 7th grade, state champions, the inaugural state champions. Yorktown 8th grade, state champions as well. Congrats to both.
Yeah, and instead of the player of the week, we're giving you guys teams of the week. Courtside top 10. This will be an interesting one. We'll go ahead and, you want to hit on anybody? Number 10 is what we can go with.
Yeah, we'll shoot it right out at them. Last one we do until after the tournament's over.
Yep.
So probably the last time we get a chance to have people ridicule us. I'm going to go Fort Wayne Concordia. You know, we talked last week and said that Carroll Concordia matchup was going to be a big one. Clint had my back. Concordia rolled Carroll, and subsequently I rolled them right into the top 10.
Tiger. It was a good, finish of the year, regular season wise. I mean, you couldn't ask for something to get you ready for the postseason.
No,
on a good Carroll team.
On a roll.
Number 9.
I'm going Brownsburg. Like we said, we talked about them all season long, and they finally cracked that top 10. I think they're going to be a good team. And they've got an interesting matchup coming in the sectional too. Remember I said early on that I thought this was just going to be an absolute blast come tournament time. There's March Madness, and there's this whatever the heck's going to hit in October. We'll come up with some crafty phrase, but I tell you what, this is going to be fun. A lot of fun.
Number 8, they had a long streak early in the year, and they're starting to put another little run together, about 5-6 straight now.
Mishawaka Marion. Whenever you win 31 games, those guys are just killing people. They've won more games than anybody in our top 10. 31 wins, and well coached, some great players, and like I said about Concordia, they always play great ball down the stretch, and so they're in there. Number 8.
Yeah. Number 7.
Floyd Central. I tell you, I think that Bart Powell is just kind of sneaking around down there.
Every year he does it.
Yeah, and I tell you, I think that he's starting to get the passing figured out, the ball control, and like I've said a million times, if they can pass it, I can tell you, he can darn well set it. That kid just throws a rock around like none other. And they're big, they're physical, they're getting healthy. I like that team. They're number 6.
Yep. Number 6, interesting here. This is for the big weekend that we just had. Prep volleyball had him 26th in the country heading in on Thursday in the evening. Go ahead and hit him.
Roncalli.
Yep.
And you're looking at it and going, geez, Roncalli, big drop, but that's the nature of the beast. Roncalli comes in and gets beat by Center Grove in 4. And it just goes to show you, I'm telling you, there's any of these teams on this top 10 could win their respective state championships, and 4A is just going to be a lot of fun. And most of these guys will beat the tar out of each other when they're all on the same side, basically. And I don't. There's no shame in being number 6 in this thing, because number 6 and number 1 could flip flop in a minute.
Number 5, 65th in the country.
Carmel. Just they're right where they want to be. Rich Coleman's group is kind of getting steadying things out, playing pretty good volleyball. Come tournament time, you gotta have a star. You gotta have a star, and you gotta have a kid that's playing with the purpose. I think that's really one of the things. If you can get your kids playing with the purpose and having a battle cry, I think it helps. And I think Carly Scott's playing with the purpose. She's been to 2 straight state championships and been denied. She may be the hungriest kid in the state of Indiana.
Yeah, she don't want to leave the party without a nice little state championship.
Yeah, I agree.
Next on the list, number 4, they're 21st in the country on prep volleyball.
Center Grove, 29-3. They're moving right ahead, and I tell you, they're big and physical and strong. And for them to beat Roncalli, they had to just be dominant than that team, and they can. They're that big. They're that physical. Once again, they can win this whole thing. They can win this whole thing, but to win it, they got to get past the first night of the tournament. That's going to be interesting.
Next on the list, number 3, still not nationally ranked.
I don't care.
Scott McQueen, he's got to be good. I mean, it's all right with him. He can be under the radar a little bit, but that's got to it ticks me off.
I don't think it bothers Scott. Scott doesn't care. He just wants to win another state championship. He's got 2 in his pocket. I don't know if you've watched the show every week, but Avon is just slowly but surely. They're like snipers. That cat
Creeping them ways.
Yeah, you know that guy. They just kind of keep sneaking up on you. I'm telling you, they come out of nowhere. But you know, Weddle, Prince, good Lord, I tell you, that is the team you don't want to run into in this tournament.
Oh, no doubt.
And they're number 3 in our list this week.
It's funny. You look at the record and you go 25-8. All 8 losses are probably to the top 4 or 5 teams right there.
Oh, it is.
So
It is.
next on the list, number 2,
Terry
59, a favorite of the Munciana Courtside.
Yeah, Terry Perica's squad. You know, it's
That's
26-3. You know, they had the little hiccup a couple of weeks ago against Brownsburg, but I like Providence.
Yep.
Providence is, I tell you, out of all the classes, you know, if you were going to have to be a bet man, if you were going to bet the house, I'd say 2A would be the one where you'd say, I don't know if anybody can crack that nut. I mean, these guys are good, and they're playing toe-to-toe with the best teams in the country. So they're our number 2.
And number 1, their last name kind of has to go with they should have won the last game last night. Just going to throw it out there. Still a little upset about that. 29th in the country, 25-4 on the year.
Well, my Fighting Irish lost one now, and that's killing me. But Cathedral, if you know, wraps up the season right where they started the season on our show. You know, we said early in that show, that first show we ever did, I said there's no way they could run the table just because it's just too much pressure. It's not that important. If you remember the first show we did, my point was basically all Jean cares about is that she wins the last game she plays. That's all she's thinking about right now.
Yep.
Cathedral, you know, takes down Heritage Christian Chittard this week. They're tuned up. You know,
Yep.
they're ready to go. You know, the thing about it is Cathedral is good. You know, I went off last week about how good they really are. We were talking, you made reference to somebody said they were overrated. None of these teams are overrated, but all of these teams can beat each other.
Yep.
Cathedral's number 1, but I tell you what, baby, that's a shaky perch because they're all coming.
Yeah, and like I said on Friday evening, I'm going to write that down. That was that big one against Center Grove. So that's nothing more to get you ready for a sectional.
I agree.
Let's go ahead and hit GearMunciana.com. Sectional preview. We're going to hit on a couple matches of each class system. 1A, sectional 55. It's going to be kind of the Delaware County big match to watch this week.
These guys are both guys are state championship guys.
If it gets to this spot.
Both of these teams have been in. Both of these teams have won state championships recently. If it comes about, I think this is one of, if not the most significant sectional matchup in 1A. There's a lot of good ones. I think this is the most significant. And number 1 in the state poll is Westdale. Westdale and Cowan, and anytime you get them together, there's not a whole lot of love there. And
no.
2 teams that have done a lot of battle over the years. But I like those 2 teams, and I think that's going to be a really good matchup. And it's a semifinal Saturday morning matchup.
Sectional 61, we talked about Springs Valley number 9 versus Trinity Lutheran, which is 5th. It would be a championship Saturday night evening.
That'd be a great championship. Both of those teams have spent significant time in the state championship, and both of them have made trips to Wortham recently. I like both of those teams. I think that should be a fun matchup. Whenever you get those guys coming in from that part of the state, it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
I think that both of those 1A matches are huge. I mean, you're talking 3 of the top 9 teams in the state are going to be squaring off quick.
And both will be great matchups, I have no doubt. 2A, let's go ahead and hit on it. Sectional 39, Alexandria, number 2 versus Madison Grant, number 3, championship if they both get there.
Oh, I tell you what, it's going to be like a family grudge match. The Millers take it going against the Elsons. Some kind of tag team event. Guys throwing chairs and whatever. That's going to be a great match. 2 teams that are not else. I'm sorry, Big Bob, and two teams that are really playing just outstanding volleyball. Number 2, number 3 in the state. You know, that's one of the things you hate about sectionals is that somebody's going home fast.
Yep.
You know, one of the best teams in the state is going to be out of there, and you hate it. But then that is I think the premier sectional matchup, 2A sectional matchup.
Yep. And another thing about those guys, Miller versus Haven. Haven's at left side.
Mallory Haven.
She gets up, she rips it. She does a good job. Same thing with Miller. Miller's a little baller. It'll be a good little battle to watch. Sectional 42, Heritage Christian. We just talked about number 5 versus Park Tudor, number 6. That would be your semifinal on Saturday morning.
Michelle York is probably the most underrated coach in Indiana. I love her. I've always thought she does a great job. That'll be a great matchup, and it's a semifinal matchup. I don't think it's not as significant as the Madison Grand Alec game, but it is an absolute barn burner. I mean, now you're talking 4 of the top 6 teams are going to be squaring off on Saturday, first week of the tournament. I think that's going to be a blast. And, you know, the bottom line is everybody's Providence is going to be waiting for all of those guys. I don't care who comes through, Providence is waiting for them.
No doubt. 3A sectional. This is another big one when we talk about the West Out Callan. It's just this area. It's sectional 24. Number 2, Delta versus Muncie Central, number 4. They've both been hovering in that 2 to 4 range consistently throughout the year.
Yeah, you know, it's weird to use the word consistent because neither one of those teams have been consistent. You know, they are number 2 and number 4. This match is a toss-up. It's a toss-up because you don't know who's going to show up. You know, is the Delta team that took Yorktown 5 going to show up, or is the Delta team that got beat by Pendleton Heights showing up? Muncie Central, you don't know who's coming to dinner. You know, but if the right team comes to dinner, they're as good as anybody in 3A. The neat thing about 3A is that, for the most part, it's a pretty good spread out. Their teams are fairly spread section-wise, so you're going to see some pretty good region play and semi-state play there because a lot of their teams are going to make it through. But number 2 and number 4, one of those cats going home in just a flat-out hurry Thursday night.
Yep. This should be a good matchup. I think this is a little underrated in some people's eyes. Sectional 23. Belmont, number 6. I went and watched those guys. They finally got healthy. Got a good little left side. Pops the ball pretty well. Belmont's setter. He-Bow just kicks the ball around pretty well. Bro's really consistent versus Munciana, which I think is underrated in most people's eyes. Elson and those guys always come to play. Should be an interesting semifinal on Saturday.
Well, you know what should be interesting? You make reference to B-Bow, and Belmont is, this is one of the first years they've been off the radar. Mm-hmm. Usually they're just pounding their chest and knocking people over, and this year they've been kind of slowly moving into a groove. Taylor B-Bow, one of the better young setters in the state of Indiana. Craig Kroll has had a great career at Belmont. But I'll tell you the thing to watch there, it is number 6 and it is number 10, it is the semifinals. That would be worth a ticket. Mm-hmm. And the main reason why, can you imagine the amount of energy on the sidelines? Craig Kroll.
It's also at Munciana.
Craig Kroll bouncing around on one sideline. That cat is crazy. Lori Elson on the Munciana bench. She's the poster child for Mountain Dew. I mean, she's a caffeine kid. She'll be ricocheting all over the place. I'd pay just to watch the coaches.
Yep. And to add to it also, Munciana, you know their fans are going to bring it. But I'll tell you what, I watched Belmont. They got one of the best student sections. They're not quite Providence worthy because I love Providence.
No one.
But I'll tell you, Belmont though, they got some really good fans.
There's a big difference. The Belmont fans aren't great, and they got their Neil Diamond selections down pat. They can carry a tune. They're good. You can't compare Providence. Those guys are bad news, man. Those cats, the Whigs. Come on, brother. Providence. It's all about Providence. I'm telling you, Providence gets the state championships. Buy a ticket to Worthing just to check out the dads. Those cats, they're out of their minds. I'm not so sure that their pregame meal isn't amped up too. Talk about that in the next episode, probably.
Yep. Here we go. 4A. 2 big-time matchups.
Yeah.
I'm excited for both of them. I think they're both going to be big-time matchups. Sectional 13, Center Grove number 3 versus Round Collie number 1. They just played the other night. Center Grove wins in 4. Saturday morning semifinal to get to the championship.
You know, that's once again, man, you hate it. You hate it that somebody like that's going to go home early. You know, I remember several years ago when I was at Wapahana, and we were the #1 ranked team in the state going into sectional. Burris was the #2 ranked team in the state. Alexandria was the #3 ranked team in the state. We were all 3 in the same sectional. You know, and that hurt. You know, but you know you gotta win. And like I said about Cathedral and Gene, the winner last game. You know, all records are out. It's about just survive and advance at this stage of the game. But man, that's a tough match. Center Grove and Ron Collick probably gonna be red. After getting dinged the other night by him, that'd probably be the best game in the state on Saturday.
And like you just on right there, Ron Collick. I mean, they got smacked around on 4 the other night, and you know they're going to come in a little hungry, a little bloody lip. They're ready to come after him.
I like the bloody lip. Nice. That's a nice.
Sectional 12, #4 Avon, defending state champion. Defending. Looking to take that 3-peat versus Brownsburg, #10. Keep in mind, Brownsburg did beat them early in the season. It'll be a semifinal matchup.
That's a dangerous match.
Yeah.
That's Avon. That's a trap game of sorts. I don't envy Scott McQueen in that battle, just because that's a tough team. Brownsburg, Avon's had such a they've dominated that sectional, and they'd have to be the overwhelming favorite, but you hate the underdog just laying in the grass waiting for you, and Brownsburg would be a little bit scary.
Yep.
I think if I was in that mix. You want to take a stab at these games? I see a little work over there.
Yeah.
Look like you've got them highlighted. I like how you're covering it up. All right, let's go. Bring it. Big
All right, let's go back to that first one. Westdale, Cowan.
I go Westdale. Too much Alyssa Sutton. Too much. Man, I'm telling you, Westdale's back row, Westdale's setting, Westdale's middles. They're as good of middles as there are in 1A. I like Cowan. I like Pancho Alvarez, the coach, a great coach and a very motivated group. But I think Alyssa Sutton may be the best player. I don't know. She's the best player in 1A. There you go.
I also took Westdale. The other one in 1A we talked about, Springs Valley Trinity Lutheran. I took Springs Valley.
You took Springs Valley because you did a camp there 2 years ago.
That is exactly why.
I drove.
I don't know either of them right now.
I drove through there a couple years ago, but I'm not going to take them. I'm not going to take them. I'm going to go Trinity Lutheran. I just steady team, a steady team. But Springs Valley, great team. It should be a great match. Yeah.
Sectional 39 we talked about. Madison Grant, Alexandria. I'm going Miller. She denied the last time I took them. Going back with the Millers.
I went against the Millers. I won that bet the last time when they were battling against the mighty Elsons and Mississinawa. But I'm going Alec as well. I think Big Bob Holloway does a solid job, gets his team ready. He's got some real physical athletes, great players. You made reference to Havens, but man, you got a lot of good players in that team. Good back row. I just think that games at this time of year come down to ball control. And the two Miller sisters are as good a ball control tandem as there is in the state of Indiana in any class.
Yep.
In any class, and I think those two are probably just a little too much control. But I think it's going to be a very good match. But I think the Millers prevail, and Alexandria wins that as well.
Yep. The other sectional 2A we talked about, Heritage Christian, Park Tudor. Heritage Christian every year is in the battling for that state championship or being a contender. I'm going with those guys.
No, I can't bet against Michelle York and Kurt Candler. Those guys are great coaches. Park Tudor is a super program. It's just a super school. But Heritage Christian.
All right. 3A, Delta versus Muncie Central. It's one of those things where you kind of go Delta, Muncie Central. I'm going Muncie Central.
He took Muncie Central because his boss is the head coach at Muncie Central. I know that's why he took him. I love Muncie Central. Micah LaBelle, is one of my favorite local players. I think she's just off the charts. Great kid, great player. Delta has been so up and down. They go 5 with Alec. They lose in 5 to penalty nights. Lose in 5 to Yorktown. The lineup is totally changed. They got guys in different positions. Folks don't know which bathroom to go to right now because they're all dizzy and out of. I'm going to go with Wooden in the gang. I'm going to go with Delta in a very good match, but I go Delta over Muncie Central.
Belmont, Munciana. I'm going Belmont.
I'm going Belmont. I'm going Belmont only because Munciana, this is new, man. This is kind of foreign territory for those guys. Those guys have become such a good program.
Yep.
Rachel Resch done a great job. Lori Elson there. It's just new. Belmont is here every single year. You know something about this time of year? People that expect to win tend to have a huge advantage. And I like Taylor B. Dowd, Craig Kroll to get home.
Yep. 4A, we talked about it's the must see. Center Grove, Roncalli. Roncalli got beat before the other day. I'm taking Bailey and the crew. Gonna fight back and take down Center Grove in 4.
Oh, in 4, man. Getting off a cock. I like Roncalli.
Yep.
I like Roncalli. Just like I said, this time of year it's nerves. Everybody's scared to death. You know, one and done. I'm always going to side with ball control.
Right.
And one and done affairs, I'm going to side with ball control. And I think Roncalli is just a little bit better ball control. I will tell you, if Center Grove beat them, it wouldn't shock me. If Center Grove beat them, it wouldn't shock me if Center Grove wins it all.
Yep.
So, you know,
either of those teams definitely can win a state
championship. God, it could go either way. You know, both teams are well coached, both teams great athletes. But I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with ball control. This. I'm going Roncalli.
And the only way to end the show. We're going with the 2-time defending state champions, Avon versus Brownsburg. I can't bet against McQueen. All he does is win. So I'm going with McQueen, I'm going with Prince, I'm going with those guys. I think they're going to get it done. I think Brownsburg will fight them, but I think it's just the proven winner.
Well, the Orioles went down in baseball pretty fast, but I don't think the Orioles are going to go down in this tournament without a real fight. I think that Weddle and Prince and some of those kids, if there's something to be said for being back-to-back state champions. They're the champions right now. They're the best. They're the champions until they lose. And I tell you, just watching those kids play over the last couple of years, you're going to have to wrestle that thing out of their hands. And I tell you, that's some pretty good sized hands when you're talking about those 2 pin hitters, Weddle and Prince. So I go Avon.
Okay.
And a good match, though, a very good match. And Brownsburg, man, what a great year those guys have had. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yep. Next week's show, we'll hit on the regional previews coming in on that next Tuesday. That's all we got for you guys this week.
Thank you guys. Have a beautiful week.